Algeria is a multi-party republic whose president, the head of state, is elected by popular vote for a 5-year term. The president has the constitutional authority to appoint and dismiss cabinet members and the prime minister, who is the head of government. President Abdelmajid Tebboune won the 2019 presidential election, which followed mass popular demonstrations, known as the Hirad, throughout 2019 calling for democratic reforms. Observers characterized the elections as well organized and conducted without significant problems or irregularities, but they noted restrictions on civil liberties during the election period and lack of transparency in vote counting procedures. The country held a constitutional referendum in November 2020, followed by legislative elections in June 2021. Official voter turnout was 23%, the lowest in the country's history for a parliamentary election. The 130,000-member National Gendarmerie, which performs police functions outside urban areas under the auspices of the Ministry of National Defense, and the 200,000-member General Directorate of National Security or National Police, under the Ministry of Interior, share responsibility for maintaining law and order. The army has some domestic security responsibilities. Civilian authorities generally maintained effective control over the security forces. Members of the security forces committed some abuses. Significant human rights issues included credible reports of torture or cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or punishment by members of the security forces, arbitrary arrest and detention, political prisoners, transnational repression against individuals in another country, serious problems with the independence of the judiciary, unlawful interference with privacy, serious restrictions on free expression and media, including unjustified arrests and prosecutions of journalists, censorship and enforcement of criminal libel laws to limit expression, serious restrictions on internet freedom, substantial interference with freedoms of peaceful assembly and association, including overly restrictive laws on the organization, funding, or operation of non-governmental and civil society organizations, severe restrictions of religious freedom, restrictions on the right to leave the country, refoulement of refugees to a country where they would face a threat to their life or freedom, serious government restrictions on or harassment of domestic and international human rights organizations, lack of investigation of and accountability for gender-based violence against women, trafficking in persons, the enforcement of laws criminalizing consensual same-sex sexual conduct between adults, significant restrictions on workers' freedom of association, and minimal advancement on eliminating the worst forms of child labor. The government took some steps to investigate, prosecute, or punish public officials who committed human rights abuses, especially corruption. The General Directorate of National Security conducted investigations into allegations of mistreatment and took administrative actions against officers it deemed to have committed abuses. The Ministry of Justice reported no prosecutions or convictions of civil, security, or military officials for torture or other abusive treatment. Impunity for police and security officials remained a problem,